Welcome to the Leaderonomics show. I'm with Bill Rancic, the winner of the first Apprentice, author, businessman, entrepreneur, and father recently. Bill, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, congratulations on being promoted to father.
It's a big promotion.
How has that changed your life?
Oh my goodness. Well, certainly not getting as much sleep as I used to get. That's for sure. But it's been magical. He's 7 months old. He is big kid. He's 26 pounds. I don't know what that converts,
Wow.
but it's big. He's big and he's long.
Tall.
Yeah, very tall. Yeah.
And so how has that impacted on work-life balance and things like that?
It's slowed my work life down.
Yeah.
Right now our main priority is being good parents. I think that's the most important thing we can do right now. And we had a hard time, getting our baby. My wife had some problems, and it was a long journey for us. So we're really cherishing it and enjoying every moment of it.
Congratulations. Yeah. It's always fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about, everyone's going to ask you about the Apprentice. And
Yeah.
how, so tell us one, two little leadership secrets you learned from the Apprentice.
Yeah, that first season, believe it or not, it was almost 10 years ago.
Is it 10 years ago?
It's been almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. We filmed it in 2003.
Okay, wow.
And it was very, very tough competition. We had 250,000 people who applied to be on the show, and they narrowed it down to 50, and then they interviewed all the 50, and they put us through a battery of testing for a whole week, and then they selected 16. And I was actually the 16th contestant chosen. I was the last person picked. And then the competition began, and it was a real battle of mental toughness and physical toughness, because we were operating on very little sleep, 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night with no days off. And it was the first season of the show, so we didn't know what the next day had in store for us.
Right.
Where people who came in the following seasons,
They had something to look back
They
to.
got a little bit of an idea. It was still very difficult for the following seasons, but for us, we were literally feeling our way in the dark.
Yeah, sure.
So then what did you learn? From that whole experience.
Oh my good! I learned a lot. Certainly I gained a lot of confidence as the winner of the show. I learned how to be an individual and a team, because I think on The Apprentice you had to be a good team player, but you also had to be an individual, and you had to let your ideas, stand out, and you had to separate yourself from the pack of everyone else. I learned the importance of agility. Learned the importance of managing risk and converting risk into success, and also the importance of delivering results. And these are all things that I'm going to talk about at the conference while I'm here in Kuala Lumpur.
Is there any specific person that you look up to? You've had a fantastic career. Is there anyone specifically who you've modeled your behavior or tried to learn as much from? Is there someone like that in your life?
Well, certainly Donald Trump, as his apprentice and someone who worked with him, but also my parents. I think growing up, my parents were both school teachers, and
What did they teach?
My dad was a math teacher, and my mom was an English teacher, and then they became administrators. They worked their way up the ranks. But they taught me a very important lesson early on, and that was that it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to have setbacks, but it's never okay not to try. And I think a lot of the young people today, the parents are raising that they have to be perfect, and that they've got to get perfect grades, and they have to be perfect in the sports, and when they become adults in the real world, they can't handle a failure or a setback, and they don't know how to cope with it. And I think it's a real disservice to the kids today.
You think that's why you won The Apprentice? Partly because that whole perseverance, that whole.
Yeah, I think I had a strategy going in. I think that was important. I think no matter what you do in life, you have to have a strategy.
Yeah.
You have to have goals. But I knew how to work with others. And I knew when to strike. And I sat back a little bit. I kind of surveyed the area, and I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. But I use the strategy that marathon runners use. And they know when to break from the pack and when to run with the pack.
And how to deal with the wall.
Yeah, how to deal with the wall. Yeah.
And pace.
Pace and pentameter. Yeah.
You talk a lot. I read some of your articles, and you talk a little bit about the business being, running a business is like being an orchestra conductor.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when you look at the conductor of an orchestra, he or she has all these expert musicians who play their instruments to absolute perfection. The conductor himself is not an expert at playing each and every one of those instruments, but he gets them all to play in harmony with one another. And to be a good innovator, to be a good leader, you have to learn how to conduct. And I think a lot of people, they let their egos interfere. And they think they know everything there is to know, and no one can tell them how to do it or how to do it better or more efficiently or more profitably, and they really limit their potential growth. It's the conductors who have unlimited potential.
And where did you learn this lesson?
I learned it from a fella. I was working on a building in New York after I got hired on The Apprentice, and I was shadowing this fella, and he was the chairman of a construction company, and he taught me that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Lily.
Just picking up on leadership, what do you think is more important when you're hiring someone? Experience or potential?
Well, I think it depends on what you're hiring them for. I think for younger people, when they're interviewing, it's about your ability to learn and your work ethic, not so much your experience. If I'm hiring an engineer, I want someone who is experienced, who knows more than I know, because I'm not an engineer. Or if I'm hiring a physician, I want a surgeon. I certainly want them to have a tremendous amount of experience. But I think when you're dealing with the younger generation, they should go into the job saying, hey, I'm going to work harder than everyone else. I don't know everything there is to know, but I'm going to do everything I can to be the best I can.
Speaking of experience, you actually started entrepreneurship at a relatively young age, right? I remember you with your grandma or some.
I did, yeah.
Tell us that story. And
yeah.
Does that give you? In some ways, you get an unfair advantage over the rest who never really, experience running a business or doing that until much later in life, right? Tell us about your experience.
Yeah, well, it started at 10. It wasn't
10,
a real business,
okay.
but I was sent to my grandmother's for the weekend because my parents were going out of town, and my grandmother taught me how to make pancakes. So I spent all day in her kitchen learning the art of making the pancake, and then the next morning I woke up and I called all the old ladies from my grandmother's neighborhood and I invited them over for a pancake breakfast. And when they left, they all left $5 bills underneath their plate. And I thought, this is a heck of a business here. So I took the money and I kept my mouth shut. I went back home, and the week went by, and the next weekend I asked my parents to take me to my grandmother's for the weekend. And this went on for 5 or 6 weeks, and my parents, they couldn't quite understand what I was doing there until they found the stack of money in my drawer, and they became rather alarmed, and they put the business to an end immediately. I had to fess up I was running a makeshift restaurant out of my grandmother's house. And then I worked my way through college with a boat wash and wax business that I had started. And although I didn't make millions of dollars, I think it was probably one of the most important things I ever did from an entrepreneur standpoint because, as I mentioned, my parents were educators. So the people that they associated with were educators. And I never was around entrepreneurs or small business owners. And when I had that business, I was taking care of these very expensive boats. And the owners were entrepreneurs, and I got to know them and talk to them, and I really developed the mindset of why not me. After I met these guys, I thought, she's no different than I am, or he's no different than I am. I can do that, and I gained a tremendous amount of confidence by really understanding who these people were who own these businesses.
What motivates you? Is it the money, or is it the experience, or the joy of doing stuff? Or?
I've always done things that I've enjoyed. I love being on the water. I love boats when I was in college, so that was why I did it. Everything I've always done, and now the business of television that I'm in, I really enjoy it. I've been very lucky that I've been able to do things that I'm passionate about and that I get out of bed excited. Not many people can say that they do.
What are some particular, moments of failure that you remember that you think you've learned the most from? Say two moments.
Well, one, when I first got into the real estate business, I bought this building and I was going to convert it into apartments. And I was renovating it, and it was probably, 70% done with it. And the building was a victim of arson. It got burned down. And I had made the mistake of buying the insurance policy from a college friend, and he didn't sell me the right insurance. And there's something, and I don't know if this works here, but there's what's called actual value versus replacement value. And I was really going to be in trouble because I didn't I didn't have the proper coverage, and I was going to lose all my money. I mean, I had all my money invested in this building, and I was just really stressed out. I'd lost weight. It was going on for weeks, and then I got kind of angry. When I get angry, then I come up with a good plan, you know. And it's
Sounds like
terrible.
me.
Yeah. And I figured out a way to make it work. You know, I brought in a partner. We made them condominiums. We sold them off, and I really minimized my loss. But you know, it was scary, and it taught me how to deal with a crisis, because that was a big crisis in my life. That was a setback. You know.
Was that quite recently?
Oh no. This was before the Apprentice.
Right.
So it's, you know.
Is there another moment that's impacted you in a similar way?
I've had a lot of you know.
Different aspects.
Yeah, but never any major ones. I've always been cautious, and I've always, you know, even in investing, you know, I never. I'm a base hitter. You know, in America we have baseball, and I believe in. I don't need a home run.
Yeah.
You know, first or second base, I'm good with. You know, so I've never been greedy. You know.
And what advice would you give entrepreneurs out there? I mean, many people try to emulate you. I mean, you know, there's everybody is what many people want to become like you.
I don't know, but that's very kind of you. But
no, but it's, you know, you got a big fan club here. So what pieces of advice would you give someone who's wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to, you know, at least have some success like you did?
Well, I think you gotta, and this is so cliche, but you gotta do something you love. You know, I have a buddy of mine who works a job, and he wonders why he's not successful. And you know, he wakes up in the morning and he hits his snooze button 10 times. And he gets out of bed and shuffles himself into work. And at 5:01, his car's the first one out of the parking lot. You know, and he wonders why he's not successful. Well, he hates his job. He hates what he's doing. He's never going to be successful. So I think that's important. I think you have to also be proactive rather than reactive. I think so many entrepreneurs don't anticipate problems, and then they wait for the problems to happen, and they never get ahead.
Yeah.
And it's about never quitting.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have that never quit mindset, and never make excuses. You know, so many people, especially young people, when they have problems, they point to the right, they point to their left, and they blame everyone around them except for themselves.
Yeah. You know, you've kind of done a little bit of working for others and working for yourself. Is that important to have a balance of juggling between you know, being an entrepreneur and working for somebody else, or it's just something that happened in your life?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've never. It's just kind of where the road had taken me. You know, and it's, you know, for me, it was the right path. The right path led me to where I am today.
So what's the funniest, craziest thing about Donald Trump you can tell us legally?
You know what? I will say this: he is a great guy. He is a smart man. He's a hard worker. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity he gave me, you know, because he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. If it wasn't for him, I would have never met my wife. Yeah. You know, my wife came and interviewed me after I won The Apprentice, so you know, I owe him a lot, and he's a great man.
And now you're into TV, and tell us a bit. I mean, you got a new show that's debuting, Ready for Love.
Ready for Love, yeah.
That's tomorrow, in a couple of days. Right?
Well, in America, it's I guess it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then here throughout Asia, it'll be in May. But yeah, I've been very involved in TV over the last 9 years. I've done a show called We Mean Business. It's for a network called A&E. It's where I go in and renovate small businesses that are struggling. We've got the Julianne and Bill show, and now my wife and I are hosting the show Ready for Love, and it's a show about finding love. And we have 3 guys. We have 3 matchmakers who really help find these guys the right women, and then we have 36 women, and they're all looking for love. So it's it's a big show, and we're really proud of it. It's a show you can watch with your kids.
So what advice would you give our listeners? I mean, out there, you know, just what nuggets of wisdom would you impart to these guys?
Well, I mean, you know, I think. Again, never giving up. I think that's important in all aspects of your life, whether it's business, whether it's school, whether it's with your faith. Right. I think it's
tough to do though.
It's tough.
To keep fighting and persevering.
Yeah, and I think you know, you have to have a roadmap on where you want to go in life. And I think so many
some sort of a legacy map to say this is where I want to end up, or
well, you have to
kind of legacy that I want to leave.
You got to reverse engineer your life, and you have to say, all right, you know, when I'm 50 years old, right, am I going to be proud of what I've accomplished? And what I'm doing today, is it going to get me to where I want to be in 20 or 30 years? You know, whatever your goal is.
Right.
And you have to ask yourself some real hard questions. And sometimes you've got to look from the outside in, because we can kid ourselves and we think we're doing things a certain way, but when you look from the outside in, it's not so much the case.
So just to wrap up, last question, where do you want to be in 20 years?
Well, I want to be hopefully, taking my son to college, university somewhere. And
he'll be 20 even. Right?
What's that? He'll be 20. Yeah. He better be in university. We're gonna have some problems. Maybe he'll be playing sports at a university, but definitely doing more work with kids. It's important to me. I do a lot of work with young kids, and just spending time with my wife, and hopefully we'll have more children of our own. I'll be coaching the teams and doing all the things that dads do.
That cool dads do.
Yeah, driving them to school.
There you go.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
And so that's been Bill Rancic with us on the Leaderonomics Show.
Bill, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.